So to us in my generation, it's like, oh, they finally found out that was happening. That's been happening.
Right. Right.
And maybe these young people, will listen to us about how it's been happening. Let's start telling some of the stories in some of these counties, North and South. Indiana was the home of the Klan. That's where they had their headquarters.
The highest population of a Klan in Indiana.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Not talking about the South. So the use...
There was no safety above the Mason-Dixon line. That is a myth.
That is a myth.
Yeah. There has never been safety for us in the country. So yes, ma'am.
Anywhere.
And when you talk about seeing Black people getting killed, like this is nothing new to us. Like I learned from your generation learned from her generation and my generation, what you saw, what I bore witness to, Rodney King. That was the first time that we saw. Your generation, maybe probably Trayvon Martin for you, I would imagine, was probably the first.
Martin for me.
Yes. And so these like pillars, almost like a blood sacrifice to say like, how long are we going to take this? Of course it's going to erupt. Let me ask you, I want to switch topics, but before we do, civil rights groups. Now, Reverend Hosea Williams was, a member of the NAACP, and civil rights groups held such credo in the community. It was where we went to organize, and they were uniquely valuable. I want to hear from both of you, what role do they play today? Because I've not been anywhere with a bunch of people and they say, oh, it's 6 o'clock, y'all, we got to go to our NAACP meeting, or it's 3 o'clock, we got, we got to go to the SNCC conference, It's just, it doesn't happen. I'm not saying they don't have a role. I'm literally asking, what role do they play? I'll hear from you and then I'll come to you.
Absolutely.
Well, Hosea Williams was not part of any civil rights group after Martin Luther King was killed. When that executive staff splintered and Andy went to be an ambassador, Jesse went to do breadbasket, et cetera, he was walking down the streets of Auburn Avenue trying to find his life again, because you don't have the kind of loyalty they had for Martin Luther King. I haven't seen it anywhere. It was like, take my life, use all of it 24 hours.
Yeah.
I don't got no needs. You don't even have to pay me.
Wow.
So he saw a homeless man eating out of a trash can. And he said, man, in Atlanta with all this money, why are you eating out of a trash can? And the man said he hadn't eaten in 3 days. So we were taught direct action. We sometimes are criticized for putting the cart before the horse, because we go to the answer. So he went across the street, created Hosea Feed the Hungry and Homeless, start feeding 100 homeless men. And now we feed over 51,000 people a year. So the activities that happen inside these civil rights organizations are mostly what you call something that's too old. Antiquated. So they have not caught up with the times. They have not opened their doors to enough young people to be innovative and to move to the future. You have elders in there that are not in
lots of bureaucracy, the board,
let the young people come in, and so
they also barter.
They
are funded by the private sector. So when you get money, when you get in the white man's money, sometimes they buying your silence.
That's why Hosea Williams always said, unbought and unbossed.
And Shirley Chisholm, of course, was unbought and unbossed. Yeah,
and he got that from her. Yeah, she said it first.
Yeah,
so all of them, I always tell my children, there's no all and there's no everything.
Yeah.
There's always something somewhere that's doing something, because these civil rights organizations are keeping these small Georgia towns from getting everybody lynched.
Oh, interesting. That's true. And I think geographically there are pockets. In Jackson, Mississippi, the NAACP has an outsized influence there where they may not necessarily in Atlanta. Right. Exactly. So what is your generation's outlook on civil rights groups today?
I think for my generation, a lot of us feel deeply disconnected from the legacy civil rights groups. The respect is there, right? We honor and recognize the contributions and the sacrifices that were made. But we also, I think in a way, feel like our contributions and our passion isn't being respected either sometimes. And I think it's important to build that intimacy that we currently don't really have between elder activists and younger activists on a field-wide scale. When I was on campus as well, we did a big action where we decided that we were going to disrupt Hillary Clinton when she came to speak at campus, because the Black Lives Matter movement was blossoming and she had said nothing at that point on the campaign trail.
Yeah.
And so I was one of, I think, 7 students who decided that we were going to disrupt her until she acknowledged that Black Lives Matter. And that was a big thing at that point in the movement.
Yeah.
And when we went to disrupt, I think people were confused at first and they were like, what's going on? And then when they realized we were disrupting her, we had got so much vitriol from Atlanta's leadership who were there, from our college leadership. And what really struck me was that John Lewis went to, rest his soul, went to step in front of her and tell us that we needed to stop and that we were not doing the right thing. And that visual to me was striking because he's one of our heroes.
Yeah.
He's one of the people we think we're following in your footsteps. But now when we're doing the things that we think you would have thought was righteous when you were our age, now we're being told by John Lewis currently, he's protecting Hillary Clinton and telling us that we're doing the wrong thing.
Wow.
And so I think it's creating this lack of intimacy and distrust between generations. And that distrust is creating a divide that's weakening our movements. We need elders to understand and respect our viewpoints and our perspectives.
Yeah.
But we also, I do agree, in my generation, need to understand where you're coming from and why someone who was beaten by police when he was 25 or 22 might
with Hosea Williams.
With Hosea Williams,
Yeah.
right? That whole class, why over the years they might have, I won't say softened, but just become like their politics might have become more mild, right?
Plus
And I
you're
wanted
in
to point out-
Atlanta. Let me tell you something quick. It's secret. Atlanta, there's never been a movement in Atlanta. There's not been a lot of marching. Atlanta is the kind of city where deals are made behind closed doors and decisions are made without a lot. That's when my father was, they were angry with him. So you got to look at the culture of the city.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised that happened.
Yeah.
But it's your job to be like the thing in the washing machine that shakes up the clothes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Shake it up.
that's what Jose Williams did, a bull in the china shop. And
did.
people would criticize him for that. That's y'all's job.